basketball continues to hold a steady second place in the Big 12.
And Texas baseball dropped its season opener in a disappointing loss.
All this and more coming up on College Press Box. Good evening and welcome to College Press Box. I'm your host, Camille Brooks, and joining me this evening is Alex Wilkins. Alex, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing pretty well. A little tired, but I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely.
So, did you get the chance to catch the men's basketball team in action this week?
I did, actually. They played a couple crucial home games, but I think they really proved their contention as Big 12 champs. Actually, starting with Tuesday, the Texas men's basketball team went up against Oklahoma State at home. Looking to continue their Big 12 dominance, the Horns defeated the Cowboys 87-68. Let's check out the highlights. The number 19 Longhorns get ready to play Oklahoma State with Jonathan Holmes and Marcus Smart both out. The Horns swing it to Javon Felix for the first three of the night. Longhorns take an early lead. Then a little bit later on, we see Connor Lammer actually with another three on his own from DeMarcus Holland. With 9 minutes left in the first, Felix goes on to drain another three, we'll see right here, off a pass from Holland. The Longhorns go up 31-12. A little bit later, Isaiah Taylor, that freshman, dishes it to Felix for another three. Texas is still up. Then, start of the second half, the Hellraisers are ready to go. Markel Brown gets some open space and knocks down the jumper. Longhorns are still up in control to 25 points. Taylor gets the ball and tackles it in for a sweet layup. Taylor ends up finishing with 16 points. Then LeBrian Nash gets past the Longhorns for an easy bucket right here. But the comeback wouldn't happen with the Horns still up big. Taylor drives it into the hoop and makes the tough basket for two. And that would be it for the Skinning Cowboys. Javon Felix finished with 27 points and an 87-68 win. Texas improved to 19-5 overall in the Big 12, while Oklahoma State loses their fifth straight game.
Our own Julian Owens was at the Frank Irwin Center for the game.
To the fans, this was a big game to beat Oklahoma State this past Tuesday. With both teams not having their star players, Texas's Javon Felix led the Longhorns with 27 points to win the game 87-68.
He's not one of the guys we were going to leave completely open, and he stepped up and made them. And he made some threes, no question, that hurt us, shot a high percentage.
Definitely. I know I can make those shots. It's a matter of me taking them. And that's something that my teammates got on me about. Stop passing up shots, and that's what I tried to do tonight. Just take my open looks and get them within the flow of the offense, and I did.
Without Marcus Smart for Oklahoma State and without Jonathan Holmes for Texas, most believe that this was a game of desperation for either team. However, coaches and players from both teams agreed that it was just an ordinary game, and whichever players on the court wanted it more would win the game.
I don't think about that. I mean, the fact of the matter, it was a big game for us. I mean, our league is great. I mean, it's a great league, and so every single night you've got to be.
This past Saturday, the Texas men's basketball team took on West Virginia Mountaineers at the Frank Irwin Center. The Longhorns put up a decisive 88-71 victory. Let's take a look at the highlights. Texas players and coaches huddle up before the game against West Virginia. 17:47 left in the first half. Jawan Staten missed the jumper, rebounded by Jonathan Holmes, who hits Isaiah Taylor on the outlet pass. Taylor takes it all the way down the court and gives it to Cam Ridley for the dunk. Aaron Harris passes it out to Nathan Adrian, who tries to get it back to Harris, but is denied by DeMarcus Holland, who takes the ball in for the dunk. 3:06 left in the first half. Isaiah Taylor, trapped in the double team, finds Felix for the three-point buzzer beater. Horns up 36-20 with 2:27 left in the first half. Staten hands it off to Harris, who goes up for the layup, but is denied by Cam Ridley. Texas still leads 38-22. Later in the second half, DeMarcus Holland hits Lambert in the corner, who then feeds Prince eBay for the easy dunk. Texas extends its lead to 61-46. A little later, Martez Walker comes in for the easy 2-point dunk. Little over 2 minutes to go in the game. Isaiah Taylor, top of the key, to Felix to Holmes, who gives it right back to Felix, who finds Cam Ridley for the alley-oop, sealing the 84-66 victory. Number 19 Texas wins 88-71 over West Virginia. Here's what College Press Box's Jeff Barker had to say about the win.
On Saturday, number 19 Texas secured their 20th win of the season on a balanced team effort with 5 different players scoring in double figures.
But today we came in and we were maybe as engaged as we've ever been during shoot around. And I didn't have a lot to say because it was fun watching what they did, short and sweet, to the point. And we came out and, again, I thought we did a lot of good things.
They were trying to slow us down from using our speed. And Coach Barnes said the only way we'll slow ourselves down is by dribbling. So he really emphasized passing the ball at practice the day before, and we came out and executed.
Texas found success on its well-rounded team effort, but one player in particular stood out.
Texas center Cam really dominated down low all game long, scoring 17 points, grabbing 6 rebounds, and blocking 3 shots. And as a team, Texas outscored West Virginia 46-14 in the paint.
My teammates were looking for me, but I went in the game trying to play more aggressive and do some of the stuff we worked on in practice, like settling my man and holding my man off and move my feet trying to get the ball and little small things like that I weren't doing before.
The other things he did, I thought he was really good. We keep talking about really wanting the ball, and sometimes he's going to have to release and just go get it. And he's a really good passer. He had a couple of great skip passes.
Up next for the Longhorns is a tough stretch of games on the road.
We know that, so we knew that this week was going to be very important for us moving forward and actually playing at Iowa State and at Kansas.
Jeff Barker, College Press Box.
After the break, we'll talk more basketball with analyst Julian Owens. Stick around, it's College Press Box. Welcome back to College Press Box. Joining us in the studio this evening, we have Julian Owens. Julian, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Camille. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Well, let's go ahead and get right to it. Jonathan Holmes returned to play West Virginia after missing 1.5 games with a knee injury. How much of an impact do you think it had on the win to have Jonathan back on the court for the Longhorns?
I think it was just a great impact for the Longhorns to have their top scorer back. You know, Jonathan Holmes has been leading the team with the scores, most points in the game. So he's doing a great job getting him back into there playing West Virginia, getting his works up, making him work with his knee just a little bit, getting him better in shape. Also, he's a second in rebounds, he's third in blocks. He's just an all-around player for the Longhorns, and having him back on that court on the starting 5 was a big dynamic for the Longhorns to help them win that game.
I agree, Julian. I think that having Holmes back was a huge confidence booster for this team as the team's leading scorer. You know, he didn't have his most impressive performance. He only put up 11 points, but I think it definitely helped the team just knowing he was there to help.
Absolutely. Javon Felix put up 18 points against West Virginia and 27 points against Oklahoma State last week. He's now averaging an impressive 22.5 points per game. But in earlier games, he was not much of a contributor, like his 7 points in the loss to Kansas State. Do you think the team's overall success has a lot to do with Javon?
I think the overall success for the Longhorns is overall team chemistry. Javon Felix adds that little piece of the puzzle that gives them that more chemistry. If he's ever having a good night, the Longhorns are doing a lot better, even though if he does have a bad night, they still do off a little bit better what they need to do. As you said, he is the second top scorer for the team, and however, he's still one of the most inconsistent players on the team. He'll score 27 like he did against Oklahoma State, but only shoot 7 points when against Kansas State. If he keeps that consistency going, I can see the overall success for the team getting a lot better for the Longhorns.
Personally, I think Javon is a key player right now. He's on fire. Not only did he have 18 points against West Virginia, he was also a key player in shutting down Jawan Staten and keeping him to only 14 points. He's definitely a team player, and you gotta love watching him put those threes up.
The 19-point win is the largest margin of victory in the history of matchups between Texas and West Virginia. But statistically, this is the best West Virginia squad the Longhorns have ever played. What do you think gave the Horns the push to put up such a dominating victory? Also, Texas had 5 players reach double figures in the matchup against West Virginia and matched a season-high 18 assists. They seem to be working a lot better as a team. What do you think has made the difference?
Again, Camille, what I've been saying all semester long and even before the basketball season even started is the team chemistry of this team. I see a complete different team than I've seen, and most of us Longhorns fans seen since last year. You seen last year you had a lot of leaders trying to come out and say, I'm the star player of the team. You don't have that now. You have a team that's like, we're going to go out there, we're going to win games, we're going to try to do what's best for the team. Not only that, you have them traditional basketball. You have eBay, Ridley, and Jonathan who go gets the rebounds. So you have a lot of scorers out there on the team. All you got to do is just give out, like you said, the assists, just keep the rebounds moving, keep the ball fast-paced going. And I think the Longhorns, that's what keeps the Longhorns going throughout the year. And I think that'll keep them going throughout the rest of the season as it comes to a close.
I also think the Longhorns' defense, their recent improvements on defense were a factor in this. Coach Barnes said that in the game against West Virginia that might be the best defense they've played all year. Also, Cam Ridley, I think he's been a game changer, especially the last couple games. Not only, I mean, he put up 17 points, but also his blocks, you know, those are insane, and they really up the adrenaline going during the games.
Iowa State only beat the 7th in the Big 12 Red Raiders by 6 points this past Saturday, playing in Ames. Cyclone fans were a bit on edge, but their team pulled it out in the end. What do you think this means for the Longhorns as they travel up to Ames this week?
The Longhorns just need to keep up the momentum going. As Rick Barnes said it in the Oklahoma State interview, they need to just keep the momentum going, keep the movement, keep the ball moving, keep the momentum on their side. As long as the Horns are able to just keep the points, keep the defense, keep the turnovers to a minimum, keep the assist movement, keep the ball rolling, and make sure they're getting good shots, I think the Longhorns will have a great time in Iowa State, in Ames. And I just think that also the defense, if they keep a perimeter around the defense, make sure they don't get no sharpshooters like they did Iowa State against the Red Raiders. I think this will be a great win for the Longhorns if they are out to get it in Ames.
I agree, Julian. If you would have asked me this question a couple weeks ago, I would have been a little bit more hesitant. But, you know, after West Virginia beat them by almost 30 points and barely scraping by against Tech, I think that the Texas will go into this game a little more confident, and I think that they can definitely pull out the win if they continue that defense we saw last week.
All right, well, I'd like to thank Julian Owens for joining us in the studio this evening. Let's move over to the women of the 40 acres. The women's basketball team was in Manhattan this past Wednesday to take on the Kansas State Wildcats. The Longhorns pulled off a close 63-69 win. Senior Chastity Fussell led the team with 15 points, while sophomore Empress Davenport was not far behind with 12. Texas went on a number of promising runs, but each time the Wildcats marched back and did not let the Longhorns ever get too far out of reach. A pair of three-pointers from Craig and Fussell put in the final minute of the game sealed the victory for the Horns. The Longhorns will play their rival OU this Wednesday in Norman.
After a win against Kansas, the Texas women's basketball team hosted their Shoot for a Cure game at home against number 7 Baylor on Sunday. After a streak of home wins, the Horns lost to the Bears 72-56. Let's once again check out the highlights from the Frank Erwin Center. Women's basketball taking on the Baylor Bears. We got Odyssey Sims hits the 3 and gives Baylor an early lead. Later in the first half, Mackenzie Robertson dips away and gets the layup. Still, later on in the first, Baylor still leading. An impressive block by Imani McGee-Stafford. Let's see that again. Then Sims later on again with the jumper. Baylor leading 35-26. Sims is going to drive again and score yet again. Baylor still dominating the court. Then a final pass to Sumi Abuki for the lay-in. Baylor ends up winning 72-56.
Spring athletics are in full swing here on the 40 acres. Coming up on College Press Box, we've got rugby, tennis, track and field, baseball, and softball. Stay tuned. Welcome back to College Press Box. The Texas women's soccer team kicked off spring ball against Houston on Saturday. 3 different Longhorns scored the 4 goals in the shutout victory. Junior Brooke Gilbert had 2 goals, each with the help of freshman Julia Deitch, while sophomores Aaron Strouser and Chantal Campbell each had one of their own. The 4-0 win over the Cougars should give the Longhorns some good momentum heading into their match against Monterey Tech on Saturday, March 1st, here at home in Austin.
Texas women's tennis fell to number 7 Northwestern this past Saturday at the Pinnock Allison Tennis Center. The Northwestern Wildcats got the clean sweep in all 3 doubles matches and won 4 of the singles matches. However, Brianna Addison and Elizabeth Begley put up quite the fight in singles, both with straight set wins. Addison beat Northwestern's Veronica Corning 6-3 and 6-2, and Begley defeated Alicia Barnett by 7-6 and 7-5. Northwestern got the win by a 5-2 count, and the Longhorns won't play again until February 28th when they take on Houston.
On Saturday, the 15th-ranked Texas men's rugby team took on the Rice Owls. Rice Rugby has a history of dominating performances, and this match was no exception, as they outscored the Horns 42-10. We spoke to a few of the Texas rugby players after the game.
Today I learned that we need to keep our composure at the very end of the game. We had lost all structure in the last 10 minutes or so, and also I think we need to maybe support each other a little bit better, pad level lower. There's a bunch of stuff we can take away from this game that previously we kind of overlooked, but I think overall we played pretty well.
Anytime we're beating a team like we did today, we were up 3 tries within 5 minutes. We have to, keep the hammer in and keep pounding them and beat them within the first 10 minutes.
Texas track and field had runners competing at both the Tyson Invitational and the Iowa State Classic this past weekend with some of the best performances in the nation. At the Tyson Invitational, junior Ashley Spencer ran the second fastest 400 meter in the nation at just 52.33 seconds. And sophomore Courtney Okolo got second with just 52.54 seconds. For the 13th ranked Texas men, sophomore Zach Bilderback also succeeded in the 400 with a time of 46.47 seconds, his new personal record. Freshman Sanaj J. Givens was impressive in all the 60-meter races. His time of 6.64 seconds ranked as 16th nationally this season and 6th in UT history. The Longhorns will now prepare for the Big 12 Indoor Championships in Iowa starting February 28th.
The Texas men's baseball team took on the Cal Golden Bears in a 4-game series this past weekend. After 2 disappointing losses, the Longhorns put up 2 impressive victories, beating the Golden Bears 6-2 on Saturday and shutting them out 5-0 on Sunday. Seniors Nathan Thornhill and Mark Payton were the stars of the series. Payton, who was just named the Big 12 Player of the Week, finished 9 for 17 with a double, triple, home run, 3 runs, and 4 RBIs, and Thornhill pitching 8 scoreless innings in the shutout win. The Longhorns finished the series 2-2, rebounding from dropping the first 2 games by outscoring the Bears 11-2 in the last ones. The Longhorns return to the 40 acres to face A&M Corpus Christi tomorrow.
Texas women's softball had a rough start at the Texas Classic this past weekend, losing to Kentucky 4-6 and IPFW 2-3. But on the second day, the Horns came back and defeated Louisiana Tech 7-2. The Horns had 13 hits, and sophomore Holly Kern had 3 RBIs. Brigette Washington and Lindsey Stevens also helped lead the Texas offense. The Horns scored 5 runs in just the first inning and showed major improvements in bringing runners into home.
Texas achieved a second win on Saturday with a 10-2 victory over the IPFW Mastodons. Senior Brigette Washington scored 3 runs. Sophomore Holly Kern had 5 RBIs, while classmate Lindsey Stevens had 2. Freshman pitchers Lauren Slayton and Tiara Davis were impressive late, but it was all junior ace Gabby Smith for the majority of the game. Defense was sound as usual for the Horns, but offense improved dramatically as the score showed. The 2 wins were enough to earn the Horns a spot in the championship game against Kentucky.
After advancing to the championship game against Kentucky on Sunday, the Texas softball team suffered a disappointing loss to end the Texas Classic. Sophomore Lindsey Stevens got the first score for Texas with a home run. After being down 5-1, the Horns started to come back in the 4th inning when senior Mandy Ogle hit a grand slam for the Horns. However, the Horns couldn't stop the undefeated Wildcats and lost 5-6. Texas will continue the action this Thursday at the Mary Nutter Classic in Palm Springs, California.
Coming up on College Press Box, we'll take a look at what's happening this week on the 40 Acres, and we'll see what former Longhorns Jordan Spieth and Kevin Durant have been up to. Stay tuned. Welcome back to College Press Box. Alex, would you mind telling us how some of our most famous former Longhorns are doing?
Absolutely. Well, Jordan Spieth continues to make headlines as he plays his first complete PGA Tour season. Started the year out strong, almost winning the Hyundai tournament, but coming in second, and then proceeded to tie for fourth at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Most recently, Spieth played at the historic Riviera in the Northern Trust Open. He kicked off the first round with an impressive eagle on a par 4 hole, but then gave up 3 straight bogeys starting with the 11th hole. Then he pulled off an outstanding performance in the second round and eventually ended up with an overall score of 8 under and tied for 12th. We'll continue to see what Spieth will do at the World Golf Championship match play that teed off today. And speaking of successful former Longhorns, Kevin Durant continues to prove himself as an MVP contender. Just last night, Durant played in the All-Star game, putting up 38 points and helped lead the West despite an 8-point loss to the East. During this season, Durant has scored at least 30 points in 12 consecutive games so far and shows no sign of slowing down. In addition, today, Durant came out and said his nickname should be The Servant rather than Slim Reaper, and the name does seem actually quite fitting as he continuously serves Thunder and Longhorn fans.
Let's take a look at what's happening this week in Longhorn sports. Tuesday, February 18th, men's basketball at number 17, Iowa State at 6 p.m., baseball versus A&M Corpus Christi at 6 p.m. Wednesday, February 19th, women's basketball will play at Oklahoma at 6:30.
Then on Thursday, February 20th, softball will play at UNLV at 12:30 p.m. And then again, softball will play at Cal Poly at 3 p.m. Earlier that morning, we've got rowing versus Bates College, bright and early, 7 a.m. Then on Friday, February 21st, softball will play at Washington, 12:30 p.m. for that game. Baseball will take on Stanford at home, 6 p.m. Also, golf at Redstone Intercollegiate all day.
Saturday, February 22nd, we've got softball at Fresno State starting at 11:30 a.m., baseball versus Stanford at 2 p.m., and men's basketball at Kansas at 6:30. Women's basketball at Iowa State at 7, and men's golf at Redstone Intercollegiate.
Then on Sunday, February 23rd, softball will play at California at 11 a.m. Tennis will play UT Arlington at home. That's at 12 p.m. Men's golf at Redstone Intercollegiate, and women's golf at the All-State Sugar Bowl.
Well, Alex, do you have any predictions for how the men's basketball team is going to fare in their 2 tough road games this week?
Absolutely. Well, as I said earlier, I think that they'll be able to pull out the win against the Cyclones as long as they keep up dominating in the paint and really keep up that defense that we saw on Saturday. Unfortunately, I think that whenever they play Kansas away, that might bring an end to the Horn streak. I think that Allen Fieldhouse is notoriously rowdy, and I think that it's going to prove to be a tough game for the Longhorns, and I think the Jayhawks might come out with a win on that one.
I would agree. Well, that's all that we have time for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to join us every Monday night at 9:30 for all things UT Sports. You can follow us on Twitter at @CollegePressBox, and add some of the best sports debate on the 40 Acres. You can watch College Crossfire on Wednesdays at 9:30. You can follow them too at College Xfire. For everyone in studio, Master Control, Alex Wilkins, Julian Owens, and myself, thank you and good night.